Alrighty, boys, here we go with, I think, the fifth. I think this is the fifth team review since the start of the year, and watching the teams get better has been so much fun. And I thank you guys for putting the teams in the Discord, and I can't wait to see what everyone has come up with this week. Last week we had 45 teams. Not one had a fantasy card. So what we're going to be doing is keeping an eye out for fantasy this week, but also with Hut Champs coming out, how many Hut Champs players are we going to be seeing on teams? So let's get into it, guys, and see what we got. And we're going to start with Cannon Fodder here, who's got the Columbus theme team. I love running a theme team for two reasons. One, it's extremely easy to keep up with. And two, it doesn't cost you a lot of time or coins to do it, right? He got the new Marchenko, as you see here on his top pairing. It's really simple to do when you're not spending your coins and your fodder on a bunch of junk that you're not going to use in a month. But if you do a theme team, you can just keep rocking those players and upgrades as you go throughout the year. Really easy to keep a hold to. And this is a really fun looking team. Great job, buddy. All right, and then we've got Vasi and Lundqvist in net. Getting that 7 AP is extremely sick. Getting that 7 AP is awesome. $106 million spent on this team with a massive salary boost on his D pairing and on his bottom forward pairing. So getting a huge salary boost there, which actually that's 7 million. You're only using 6 million out of the 7. Oh, be better. But this is an absolutely stacked squad. This is crazy with Chelios and Pronger on the third pairing in D, and just wasting $7 million in net is crazy to me. But hey, get those pairing, play those goalies, and have some fun. What a wicked team we got here, buddy. And I mean, this is a nasty team. Absolutely nasty team. And then we got the Boston team out of the hub, as he usually does. We got Jarome Iginla, Thornton, and Brady Tkachuk, who is not a Boston player, but he's a captain for that division. So, we'll let that slide. We'll let that slide. But the hub with a Boston team, that's 2 theme teams right out of the gate. I love seeing that. People having fun this year, which is exactly what we need to be doing. And then North here. First time we've seen this team popping up, so that's always fun to see. Quinn Hughes with Brock Faber. Roy Dees, thank you for the follow, man. I really do appreciate that. Thank you, buddy. Much love. And then the John Tays lining her up in the middle with Tanev and Smith. Great little squad we got here. Slowly doing upgrades on Roenick with Luke Hughes and Will Smith, it seems, and with the Markstrom and net. Let's go. Sick team here. And North, keep up the good work. Eichel with Bennett and Rupe Hintz is actually a sick looking line. All right. And then we got Lazy has obviously the pairing we're used to seeing the most, with Naslin, Sakic, and Pasternak on the top line, followed up by the Solani, Roenick, Teravainen line, which I'm curious to see how this goes, because the smart thing to do would be, with like 15 days left, sell Teravainen, hoping somebody pays the premium on him still. But we've seen it with Provoka, I think, the Washington alumni player who was 40K. He's only 10K now. So we've started to see the prices on these cards that are lineup chemistry dependent start to drop, and I'm assuming Teravainen will start to drop here eventually as the season goes on, because less and less people need him means less and less people are buying him, and that price drops. So I'm curious to see how all that goes. But though that top 6 is what we're used to seeing. Still no fantasy cards and still no Hut Champs players. And then here we've got Pasta, Naslin, Sakic, Solani, Tyler Bertuzzi, and Roenick. So we get in that top 6, we get a Bertuzzi switching out. But we have a $10 million D pairing with a bot, Timothy Liljegren, because Timmy Liljegren was going for 500K. Wild overreaction by the market. And now he's back up to $1 million. So whoever bought Timmy that low, they're ecstatic because they got a fantasy card 50% off. And then we got the BND Bowen Byram for that 10 million boost, which he's using as he's up to 107.7 million. So 2 fantasy cards, hitting the teams. Boo, we're a little bright here, but we got Drew Doughty with Quinn Hughes, a base Hedman, utilized properly for the 2 overall boost and the 2 AP boost. That's I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty sick combo right there of Hedman and Gustafson, and 84 and 86 overall. That's not hurting you at all either. And then we get a 5 boost with his goaltending, Dustin Wolf and Binnington, giving him 27 AP. I know you can't see it, it's just off the screen, but 27 AP. And then McDavid on the 4th line is crazy. McDavid on the 4th line is wild to me, but hey, you do you. This is a deep team, so you're just always running 4 lines, which is good, but that's a crazy expensive 4th line centerman. We got Tyler Bertuzzi with Mikko Rantanen and Roenick, and then Tkachuk with Doug Weight and Tkachuk. I still think I know all the Tkachuk boys all 3 of them are wingers, but I still think just for the laughs, you should put one of them at center, Keith Tkachuk, Brady, Matthew, whatever. And we're about to get our 3rd Matthew Tkachuk MSP. So there you go. You get to improve that Matthew Tkachuk again. And then we got Johansson with Hughes, and the goalies of Trevor the Kid and Binnington for that 5 AP, 6 AP, and 2 overall. And this bottom pairing is interesting with Pasternak, Janmark, and Olofsson. So that's pretty sick. Mama, thank you for the follow. Momoth. Thank you for the follow, Momoth. I appreciate that. And then we got Leafy with Matthews, Fedorov, and Jack Hughes, and Eichel on the 1st. So taking advantage of the marquee event, getting a couple there, and still using Team of the Week Barron for that +2 overall. So that's pretty sick. And then getting the boost on the captain card, Mo Seider with Erik Karlsson. I'm assuming you stuck with this Erik Karlsson because the Check My Game Erik Karlsson either got you over cap or was just too expensive to build. But this is a really good team, and the John Tays popping up again. But no champs players still, boys. No champs players. And here's that Erik Karlsson I was talking about with Rasmus Dahlin for that +9. And then we got Blankenberg with Coffee for a 2 overall boost. And the Team of the Week Pettersson taking over for Naslund. By the way, I had this Pettersson. He's a really good card. Really good card. He's last couple of years, Pettersson's cards have been not very good. Easy to knock off the puck. This Team of the Week Pettersson's a really good card. And then Demko in net always robs me. Well done. Good team with Heiskanen and Faber on the 3rd line. And here's that top 6 that we're used to seeing. No fantasy cards outside of that one team, and still no champs cards. But here's that top 6 we're used to seeing with the Chicago, Finland, and Pasternak, Sakic, Pettersson. And then the 9 AP. This guy has 39 AP on his team. Well-built team here. And keep up the good work. All right. And then we have Line A captain card still. So 1, Line A being early access. And then we got Brodeur in net with a unique decor. Quinn Hughes is a common one, but the rest are very unique, not common. So that's fun to see. And then Pettersson at center, not caring about lineup combos at all. Fedorov, Pettersson, Solani, just having fun. You'll love to see it. All right, this is a week-old team, I'm being told, where we got Boyle, Chara, Provorov's fantasy card. Holy bud, let's go. We got Provorov's fantasy card. That's a good pull. And Palat's fantasy card. Those guys are the same division. So you, I think, wanted somebody specific where you rolled the BND and got either Provorov or Palat, and then you rolled the division and got Provorov or Palat. But we've got 2 fantasy cards here. The marquee event on the bottom, hoping you get boosted for that eventually. And I see a Macklin Celebrini. We're probably waiting because you said you're a week in, so I imagine you're gonna, because you're already 2 fantasy cards deep, I imagine you're gonna crush the XP path pretty quickly. And look at all these marquee cards. My God, you've been grinding. Doughty is our captain. We've got 2 fantasy cards here on the bottom. 3 fantasy cards, getting that $15 million boost. All 3 of these fantasy cards are BND. So we rolled, I'm assuming, the BND and got Gallagher. And then we did the Atlantic and the Metro, got Couturier and James Van Riemsdyk. But that is 3 fantasy cards on that team. So we're at like 7 fantasy cards so far. That's not bad. Fantasy cards are starting to pop up. And then downtown with McDavid, Gretzky, and Stützle on the top, +1 overall. Yossi and Coffee, +2 overall. And our first champs card with Kronwall getting to an 87 overall. So we got a champs card appearing as well, so that's pretty sweet. And utilizing every single boosted line except that Fedorov line, which if you want Fedorov on your team, you pretty much got to sacrifice it because there's no boosts available that are worth doing. All right, and then we got an Ottawa fan here who's got Heiskanen, Blankenberg. I guess you're getting the overall boost here. I was going to say, you're getting overall boosted everywhere. So you're getting good overall boost on your entire decor and your bottom 6. Actually, your bottom 9. And then Fiddler. If you don't know, this Fiddler card is a beast. If you need a budget centerman, that's where you'd go. But great team, well built, and silver 3. All right, and then we've got the Chandler Stevenson. So the milestone done for this player. So which means they probably, if you've got the milestone done, chances are you've got the XP path done, which means Macklin Celebrini just didn't make this team. And Brandon Gallagher being the BND here. So I wonder if they're still trying to get the collectibles to do another BND player, or if they're trying to get collectibles to hand pick somebody. But we got Brandon Gallagher, and that top 6 is what we're used to seeing. Brandon Gallagher with Fedorov and Barzal is a great line. And then Joe Thornton on that 3rd line, or that 4th line for that 8 AP. My God. All right. And then we've got Kane, Beniers, and Line A on the first line. That's a fun first line. That's not one you see too often. So let's go. Roenick and Lane Hudson. That's a fun one as well. Star of the month, Lane Hudson. Okay. And then Gary Roberts with T. Ginla and Mark Stone. Got some fun going on here with the 3 AP. And then Demko with Mark Danos. Is that Mark Dennis? Is that who that is? Oh, I'm not going to lie here. We've got a ton of cards here that you never see on people's teams. So that's really fun. And Claude Lemieux popping up, and Jack Hughes still keeping up with the team. We got Shadow Hunters with that top 6 we're used to seeing. But then we got that New York American combo. You don't see that too often. And then the all Canadian combo on the bottom. But this is a very New York Rangers heavy team, so you can't hate that, Shadow Hunter. Keep up the good work, bud. Okay, we have our first absolutely stacked fantasy card team. We've got fantasy card Bjorkstrand, untradeable. Fantasy card Gallagher, BND. Fantasy card Taylor Hall, BND. Fantasy card Liljegren, purchased off the auction house. And fantasy card Hanifin, untradeable. This team has a ton, an absolute ton of fantasy cards here. Well done. Absolutely well done getting after the fantasy event. I hope all these cards pan out for you. Drew Doughty starting up with the captain with Quinn Hughes. And then this pairing here is sick with Liljegren and Gustafsson. I had, at first I had Liljegren with Nick Lindstrom, and that's an absolutely nasty pairing. Both of them get up to 87. They're both ridiculously good. And then Chris Mason being paired up with Jaguar. That's a good combo right there, giving that +2 overall. And the AP boost getting you up to 37 AP, which is pretty sick. Oiler Barons with Vasi and Lundqvist in net getting that massive AP boost. And then there's that Michael Pavoka that I was talking about with Nylander and Sakic. And then Fedorov with Pat LaFontaine and Nikita. And then that Chicago line in the 3rd pairing. This is an absolutely well-built team. But we've got another Nicholas Kronwall here, giving us another Hut Champs player at 87 overall. That's a very usable. It appears that Holler Boy has pulled the trigger, and it's time to drift away from the God Squad and into the Toronto theme team. And what a Toronto theme team we got here. Gardner with Tavares and Gilmore. Domi with Kadri and Hyman. Nicholas with Minton and Moore. So we got a great theme team in the making here. Mind better but yours is really good. Great job, Holler. I love that you've drifted to your Leafs team. All right, and then we've got a Barzell fantasy card with Jack Hughes and Marchenko. And then Ovi captain card. You don't see too many of him. That's fun. Solani with Fedorov and Roenick. That is just a get after it line. And then the Sakic line as well. And the pairing of Carlson and Dahlin, we're just going to see more and more of because 9 AP is so valuable. And then, oh my God, the fantasy cards on the bottom. We have Fantasy Bolvier. We have Fantasy Van Riemsdyk. These are BND. And then we got BND, Adam Larson, BND, Neil Piant. So your defensive pulls were fantastic. And then Mangiapane, you built. So Mangiapane, I'm clearly going to say you're an Oilers fan. You built him, watch him, have fun. Hopefully he does good for you this season. But that is an absolute stack team with another 5 fantasy cards. Oh, Detroit theme team we've got here, so that's always fun. Modano, Larkin, Fantasy Van Riemsdyk, and then you've got Cider with Lindstrom's a great pairing. Coffee, Chelios, Roenick with Edmondson. I love this team here. I love this team. Well done, brother. Keep building up the Detroit theme team. Justin Barron with Coffee. There's that Carlson line, and then Morgan Riley makes an appearance. Let's go. Morgan Riley with a big appearance. I want that card so bad for my Leafs team. I want it so bad. And then Anthony Bolivier as well. So you got 2 really good fantasy cards here. Congratulations on that for sure. And then we got Kevkov's team here, who has Crosby with Messier and Pasternak. That's always fun. The Chicago line at the top. Naslin with Celebrini and Eichel. Well-built team. Morgan Riley. You're probably like me. You probably want that fantasy Morgan Riley. And then we've got Heiskanen with Carlson as a great duo as well. Boston Bears. That is another champs card right there with Zidlicki popping up, pairing him up with Coffee. But another, so that's what, 3 or 4? I think we're at 3 or 4. I can't remember. But that's 3 or 4 champs cards popping up. So people are getting after those players, even though they're B&D. I didn't know how many people were going to build them because they're B&D, but that's another one. And then we got Michael Provoka on the 4th line. Honestly, I get it. He's got great faceoffs, but I would be getting rid of that card immediately because his price is only dropping, and you can still get some coins for him right now. But we got Palat and Burakovsky as our fantasy cards. All right. No fantasy cards popping up on this team or champs cards, and we got a name right here on the 3rd pairing decor. I haven't seen that card before. Might have to check that out, see what's going on with that. He might have that activated for some reason. I just don't know. Maybe that does something for him, but I don't think those combos do anything for him. That just might be a player he's a fan of. But Binnington and net with Trevor the Kid for that AP boost. Oshawa Generals jerseys, which are hot garbage. And then we got Duchesne, Roenick, and Solani with the Sakic line at the top. And then we got Scorpius' team here with Rob Blake and Brady Shea getting that good defensive combo. Heiskanen with Teppo getting that combo. Absolutely utilizing every combination I'm seeing because we got great overall boosts on defense. We got the AP boost on his bottom 6 with the American players and the Canadian players. And then he's got just a stacked top line with McKinnon, Eklund, and Pasternak. That's a good use of Eklund, by the way. And then obviously Vasi and Lundqvist and net giving him that boost as well. So this is an absolutely stacked team. And Taylor Hall and Gallagher, 2 really, really good BND pulls. Nikita Kucherov with Fedorov and Solani, the Sakic line. Our boy Kadri. I love seeing Kadri popping up on people's teams. But Vasilevsky and Lundqvist and net slowly becoming the most utilized goalie pairing because of that AP boost. And we got the Canada boost on the bottom, which this one here, there was just a card dropped, a Vancouver Canadian card dropped. I'm trying to think of who it was. I can't recall at this current time, but they just dropped a card yesterday that would be a really good boost for you to go check out. And then we got the Boston pairing to get Chara +2 is always huge. We got that Chicago line on the 3rd pairing which is wild. And then we got that New York Ranger American combo with great utilization of Matthews, getting him that +1. No Sakic line on this squad, but Pasternak, Fedorov, and Naslin taking over that spot. This is a massive team here for AP boost. We've got 5 AP boosts on the second, third, and fourth line. And then we got overall boosts on the bottom pairing defensemen, goalies, and the top pair. I know you can't quite see it that well, but the top pair is Nylander, Sakic, and Patrick Elias getting that +2. And the decor is Barron and Coffee. This is a very, very well-built team, utilizing a lot of AP boost so they can get AP on every single line. All right, we've got our first robot. This is a Diamond 1 player, and this player is got Zetterberg, 87 overall when Zetterberg matched with Sakic and Pasternak. So we do have our first robot popping up. And we got Mario Lemieux with Gardner and Naslin. And then we got the Chicago line. This is a deep team. This is a very deep team. But a Diamond 1 player, you can't see it, but it's right there on the outside. And I mean, I would expect them to be a Diamond 1 player as they got the top 100 Zetterberg. What a nasty team. All Sens theme team. You love to see a good theme team with Carlson and Chara. This Jake Sanderson, I used this Jake Sanderson at the start of the year. This Jake Sanderson's a really, really good card. And then we got a 2 overall boost and a $1 million boost with John Gibson and Allmark. I know this says All Sens theme team. I don't remember John Gibson being a Senator. Maybe I'm missing something there, but I don't remember that. And then we got Check My Game on the bottom. I forgot to add Talbot. Nerd. Start of the year, so I like last week. Idiot streamer. Idiot. Alrighty, here we go. Kempe has to be one of the fastest options for this lineup combination, and that's why you see him here. You get +2 to Kempe, which gives him like 91 speed, I'm pretty sure. And then you got Sakic and Pasternak. So this is a nasty combination, and it's the line we're used to seeing. And then followed up with Solani and Roenick, what we're used to seeing. But a Burakovsky popping up is pretty sick. And we got Fantasy Laffy and Fantasy Morgan Riley. So 2 very good fantasy pulls. And then we got Peter Bondra in here, which is a surprise to me. Not too many people use Bondra because his endurance or his acceleration is absolutely poop. But we got John Toews and Dougie Gilmore. I love the Dougie Gilmore pop-up. All right, we've got Pasternak, Pettersson, Sakic, what we're used to seeing. But if you come right down to the bottom, we have Laffy, Barzell, and Gallagher. And you're going to notice that Gallagher and Laffy are BNDs, and then Barzell is untradeable, which means that was a built player. So 40 collectibles were built for this Barzell, and then the 2 free 16 a pack for the Laffy and the Gallagher. But this is a really nasty line. Laffy is a sick pull. Gallagher is a decent pull. I think Laffy will be 99 fairly quickly. Maybe by like February, we see a 99 Laffy. And then Gallagher could get to 99. He's somebody that sits in front of the net and grinds out goals, so you might see that. And then Barzell is up in the air on whether or not he'll get 20. He's done it. He's done 21 plus in his career one time, so he might do it. I'm just not sure about the Barzell. All right, and then we got the Machines team coming in with Lindholm and Chara. And we got Edvidson and Carlson, Uyghur with Pronger getting 2 good overall boosts and AP boost. And then Vasi and Lundqvist getting that 7 AP, giving him 32 AP to utilize this offense, which is Panarin, Eichel, and JT Miller. And then Marner, you got to get that team of the week, Marner, buddy. Even though you are up against the cap at $100 million, you probably can't. But this is a really good team right up against the cap. Okay, Kaprizov. I think that's our first Kaprizov sighting. I'm not going to lie. We haven't seen the new Kaprizov transaction card, but I think this is our first Krill sighting for sure. Then we got Barron Coffee getting that +2 overall. That's a really good combination. There's that Erik Karlsson Dahlin combo with the 8 AP. And then Marquis Vasilevsky with Eddie in net. This is where you have to really balance what you want. You can't get the Lundqvist in there because of the salary, right? You're up against it with 99.7 million. So you go out and get Eddie. You sacrifice the 2 AP for the salary is essentially what you're doing, which is a great usage there, letting you spend that money elsewhere on your team, getting you the Sakic line, the Solani line, and then that Barzal Arnott line, which is great for your AP as well. This is a well-built team utilizing every bit of the salary and every bit of the lineup boost they can. Here's a second line that this is a unique combination. McDavid. Is Eichel really better at faceoffs than McDavid? I thought McDavid had like 90 faceoffs. Does that Eichel? I mean, Jack Hughes. Does that Jack Hughes card have better faceoffs than McDavid? I would switch those two. No, McDavid has 90 faceoff. I don't remember Hughes having more than that. But we got Hughes, Keller, and McDavid. A great second line there, and the Ducks line of Torrey Terry getting to 88. Frank Vetrano 85 and Solani 88. That's a great third line. The Sakic line at top, and then the XP Path building line. But again, this is a sick line. Great usage of the XP players with Beniers, Smith, and Connor Garland at that 81, getting you the 7 AP boost. This is an absolute nasty team, and we got Bowen Byram and Fowler from the transaction. So maybe just a fan, and that's why they got those. 36 AP, 100 million spent on the cap, right to it. Great team. All right, guys, that will be the team review video for this week. I do appreciate everybody putting their team in the Discord. We had 44 teams in the Discord to look at and see everybody's changes and how they built their teams. And yes, we did have fantasy cards popping up, as you see here with this team having 5 of them. So fantasy is being done, is being attacked pretty hard. And we did even have some of the Hut Champs players, which is cool to see. But again, thank you so much. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, give it a big old thumbs up. But until next time, ciao, ciao.